It's all about humanity.
This episode, we're looking at episode 4 of Mandalorian, season 1.
The Mandasodes. The Mandasodes.
Mandasodes, I love that. I love that. See, I win. Those that are listening, I have this really cool backdrop where I appear to be in the Millennium Falcon. So I have the best backdrop of the pair, but you have the best new buzzword, Mandasode. I love that.
Beautiful.
Mandasode. Not episode, Mandasode.
I appreciate your pronunciation of Falcon. Like we've talked about, there's never really an explanation for why they say Falcon.
You'll just have to ask Han or Han.
Yes. Han.
Yeah.
Han, Princess Leia, Princess Leia.
Yes.
Oh boy. So
we're not here to talk about the original trilogy. We're here to talk about Mandalorian, season 1, episode 4.
The Sanctuary.
Yes.
Is the name of this episode, and it was fun to rewatch it. As anyone who has watched any of these knows that Candler and I have not discussed anything beforehand, and that makes it to us more fun and maybe where we can shoot from the hip a little bit more. How do you feel about Sanctuary?
Well, I think of it as the fishing episode. I feel like was it shot in South Georgia? There's something very non-Star Wars about it.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's fair, but just what comes to mind.
When I think about it, I think villagers need help because of pillagers, which of course rhymes. So that's our problem. The Mandalorian and his
Ryan, I think you're making light of a serious crisis here in the Star Wars universe.
It is a crisis on this world of Sorgan. Is that the name of the planet? Like
so.
The thing about Star Wars fans is that no matter what, we figure out everybody's planet and name and all those ridiculous things that make us Star Wars fans. So the Mandalorian has taken a break with his child, the Yoda child, and he goes to this planet. But before let's step back. This was also directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who again
very
we
talented.
Talked about it in 3. This is the second time a female has directed a Star Wars project. So kudos to her. She's got obviously a famous pedigree with her uncle Clint, and her uncle Clint. That's where you have to go boom, boom. We love Clint, of course.
Yeah.
Ron, the dad.
I'm sorry I didn't laugh at that. But
Ron
I loved it.
That was a bad joke.
No, it was hilarious. It was like, oh yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Ron Howard has been around since the beginning of time, before the primordial ooze happened, and then Ron Howard was on the Andy Griffith Show. So in every decade, he's been doing something, and Bryce is really wonderful. And she's in one of my favorite episodes of Black Mirror, which I don't recommend all the episodes, but it's called Nosedive. And it's to me, it's not a perfect episode, perfect commentary for where we're heading with social media and likes. And it's very, very good satire, thick satire. So back to the villagers who are being pillaged on this planet. We also meet a widow, which we find out a widow and her young
daughter. I don't know why I suddenly switched accents, but daughter.
And we go from there. Julia Jones plays, is that her name? Yeah, Omira, the widow. She's a tough cookie, and
a good shot to boot.
I was going to say that. Yeah, she's a good shooting, good shot. So let's just get this out of the way, and then we can talk about it. I have 2 points that I want to make, and then basically I can be finished. For one, I will say that we love what Favreau and that crew is doing. This property is great. And now we need to talk about what was borrowed. So the episode of The Sanctuary is really just what we have seen starting in 54, maybe earlier, with Seven Samurai, the much loved movie that has been as they say in film classes, this has been reworked, retooled, and referenced so many times. So you have the Magnificent Seven.
And there's reason for that. It's a good story.
It is great, and there's a lot of borrowing, which is super. I like High Plains Drifter with Clint Eastwood. Not my favorite Clint Eastwood movie, 73. One of my favorite posters. That also has the same type of feel, which is someone who helps the townspeople get revenge. Let's talk about this. The Three Amigos.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I was like, please say Three Amigos.
Right. So this is the Three Amigos episode of Mandalorian. And
yes.
And we love Martin
but no
Short.
Buttercup, no My Little Buttercup, which would have been great with Baby Yoda.
That movie is good. It's ridiculous and just a great 80s romp. John Landis directed, Steve Martin, Martin Short, Chevy Chase, etc. So, and also I tell you, Mad Max 2, which I love. That's a superior sequel. The Road Warrior, same type of thing. We'll think of some more. So what we have is a familiar theme, which is great. Favreau is steeped in it, and he shows it here. And so to me, this is a good episode. I have a few things to think about, but I want to hear your thoughts. Go ahead.
It from what I remember from last November, it was my least favorite episode of season 1. Yeah. Seeing it again so far, it is my least favorite one. But I liked it better than I liked it last time, which is good.
Gotcha.
I like the intro to Cara Dune. I think she's a cool character, but in this episode, we're trying to introduce her because even the first time I saw it, it's clear that she's going to be back. It's clear that she's going to be a regular. They're beefing her up for it. So you're introducing her, and you're introducing the village, and you're introducing the relationship with the widow. So I felt like it was a lot to put in one episode. Not that I necessarily wanted to see 2 episodes, a 2-part of this episode, but I did feel like it was a little rushed, and I think it comes down to those having to introduce those characters all in one episode. Also, episode 4 feels the most episodic. It feels the most one-off. I mean, you could almost take out this episode and skip it, and no one would be the wiser, perhaps, with the exception of the introduction of Cara Dune.
I agree.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I liked the AT-ST, the way it looked. There was several fun parts about it. I just thought maybe a little more depth with his relationship with the villagers, if you're going to go there. And also the fight. Here's another thing, real quick. The fight with Cara and Mando. Sure. I felt like either I can buy that she's tough. I can even buy that she could beat up the Mandalorian. I just wish they would have set up more how strong she was before they got in the fight, because he seemed to have more weapons than she did. He seemed to have more armor than she did. But that's a very minor thing.
Tough cookie.
Yes, very tough cookie to say the least. But then later, I'm sorry, I keep talking, but I'm going to let you talk, I promise. And then later, when Mando gets thrown by the daughter that comes in the tent, I feel like that would have been something he would have known right away. It was a little girl, and it's not. There's nothing to worry about.
That is to me, that cliche of the itchy trigger finger loner, right?
Yeah.
So, and then, like, okay, easy, guy. Yeah. You're in a fish village.
Yeah.
So Gina Carano is Cara Dune, and she's great. And obviously I don't know. Listen, we're not experts. Sometimes we pretend to be. She's a former MMA fighter, so she
could certainly kick my tail, no doubt about it.
I think that one of the toughest female characters we've ever had. I loved her introduction. Like you said, you're totally right. We're going to see her again. You could feel that. It's kind of like the end until our paths cross.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that fight that they had it seemed almost, like you said, it was like, well, okay, obligatory, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word, but were they pulling their punches? I don't know. It's like almost like they were like sparring to see who's toughest or whatever. And then you kind of have the standoff. And then of course we have a very sweet moment for everybody who just loves the child, which is the child has a little cup of something.
Yes, and I'm like, I've seen that on social media somewhere.
Yeah. So even if you don't love Star Wars, there's a GIF or a GIF or a GIF about that little character in his cup of chili.
Another thing I really love about the Cara Dune character is that she's incredibly strong, but yet in other scenes she's very warm and almost nurturing. I think that's a pretty cool dichotomy.
She also has a great backstory, it seems.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi.
And so that to me is one thing where we can talk a little bit about the ATSTs. You mentioned them. I've always loved them. So they're baby AT-ATs or baby AT-AT walkers. That's that's adorable that those things are hatched from AT-ATs. I wish that was the case. If machines could hatch, they talk about the ATSTs as if they are just awful. Like you can't take out the legs. It is this immovable force, and I'm wondering. I wished that Cara would just said, now there is this thing this Battle of Endor anomaly that we had several years ago, where these teddy bears really did a number on the ATSTs. We're not going to incorporate any of those things in our battle because we're not Ewoks. Anyway, that to me was an interesting little piece about the ATST.
This is interesting, Brian, because in later episodes in this season, spoiler alert,
oh boy,
Bill Burr's character does that kind of meta humor where he makes fun of Star Wars shooting poorly. I think he mentions Life Day and what else? He mentions a Gungans, exactly.
Right.
So if Bill Burr had been on that fishing planet, I'm sure he would have brought up the Ewoks.
We need a Bill Burr stand up. We have to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
So basically you're going to have two of the guys visit the Mandalorian as he's kind of getting ready to leave because Cara Dune says this planet's too big for the both of us. Something like that, right?
Right.
And they somehow get him to agree to go to their village. He meets the widow. Sparks are flying left and right. And here's where I also want to say, even though Seven Samurai is people say the best foreign language film. It is one of the best films ever. So I love all the things that this takes from that. This also, I was thinking, also has some of the marks of a Christmas Hallmark movie. So hear me out. Okay?
No, I think I know where you're going with this.
So let's just say, for instance, that Christmas existed in the land of Star Wars.
Life Day,
there
perhaps.
was Life Day, yeah, sure. Chewie's going to come in a big red robe and tell everybody he's not a bad dad for staying away. Oh, you're on the Millennium Falcon, by the way.
Yes.
I wish Chewie would come in and play a game of.
No, he's back there. He's in the bathroom.
So it really does feel like he's a loner with an adopted child. She's a widow that has a daughter that needs, that wants more. And, they get together. So that, the Hallmark movie is a little different in how it approaches. It's usually like the tough-minded businesswoman or doctor played by Candace Cameron Bure, only married men who have wives who love these movies know this, but she's obviously a stickler, and she comes into town and meets the man, and they so this is what it feels like, a little bit of like it's like I'm seeing the future maybe in some ways of what the love story could be at some point.
We could see a fake trailer that looks like in the style of Hallmark with that episode.
That's true.
Someone's probably done that, but we will see. Someone
do it. We're not going to do that. We're gonna,
yes.
Very lazy. We don't want to. Yes. We're very tired.
Yes.
It's very late at night.
So we got the coffee black, brother.
That's true. There it is. I'm almost out. So, but like I said in previous episodes of ours, what I'm loving about The Mandalorian is that every character that is introduced for the most part is very good and very memorable. And so that's why I'm really pumped to see Cara Dune and obviously her future episodes. Because again, tough Star Wars character and somebody who's an asset. That's to me great. And I guess there's this is rolling around the internets, which of course is that Pascal was not able to film in this episode, so it was mostly stuntmen doing stand-ins and stuntmen. So,
well, it's a good thing he didn't take off the helmet.
That's right. So let's talk about that. Like talk to me a little bit about helmet stuff, about because this is the first time we really get a sense about the rules of the helmet.
I don't want him to take off the helmet, and it's I think it was well explained to me that all I needed to hear was he doesn't take it off. If he takes it off, he can never put it back on again. That's all I need to hear.
Right.
And maybe some fans would disagree with that. They wanted to hear more, but I felt like that's all I needed to know.
Do you feel? I know how I feel. It takes so much to, and we've already seen this. I guess Darth Vader's an example. Maybe you can think of some more, but to create a character that wears a mask and is, multi-dimensional, it takes it's pretty interesting trick. You got Vader, who's got David Prowse's physique, James Earl Jones, the wonderful voice of James Earl Jones as Vader. There's so many things made Vader happen. Same thing with a little bit, maybe to a lesser extent. I haven't really thought about this too much. I haven't pondered it too much, but to make the Mandalorian a great character really takes a lot from the guy's voice and what he is doing, and that's just, to me, really good writing. So that's why I'm liking this character so much. And
directors that know what they're doing. I mean, period. Exclamation point. Yes. That's the way it is. Wait, what's the lie? I keep forgetting what does he say?
This is the way.
This is the way. I will keep my helmet on.
Until our paths cross.
Yes.
Something like to that effect.
Did you think that Yoda was going to be assassinated, or Baby Yoda, you had a feeling he would make it out okay?
Oh boy. So this is leading us to the thing that I dislike the most, which is tiny Baby Yoda in peril, left all alone. with one of the toughest bounty hunters ever. Like, I'm gonna leave him with you because that's gonna come up again next to episode 5. The babysitting piece, or like, let me put him in this closet on the spaceship. Let me put him away. So yes, I was on pins and needles when I thought that he was going to be assassinated, and of course, miraculously, Cara Dune is there to save the day and let us know that now that there's people are out there looking for our young green friend. Yes. So there you have it.
Well, next episode we're going to be breaking down episode 5, and from what I recall, all the other episodes I give them an A. I think this might be the one episode I would give a B, or maybe even a B+, or maybe even A-. I mean, there are things I really like about it. Any final thoughts?
I just have no complaints. You know what I mean? Like, that may be kind of boring. I mean, people love to hear the mudslinging, but for me, it's like it's more fun to really talk about just how cool this show is. And again, they keep coming up with great characters. My prediction, of course, is that we'll see kind of the return of the widow and her daughter at some point, and down the line. We'll see.
It was cool that even though it was this primitive village, there was still a droid, 2 or 3 droids, I believe.
That poor droid got stabbed. I did not appreciate the poor. Yeah. We're getting a lot of droid. The droids are getting really ripped. Like that one, monster or whatever that. Like,
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's got to have an astromech droid. Is that really necessary? It's really like cheap.
Poor droids. It's got to stop. All right, well, let's go out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Candler.
Brian. That's me.
That's you, yes. And this is Grab the Remote.
Take care.
Take care.
It's all about humanity.